Have you ever found yourself wide awake at 3 a.m., lying still in the dark while the rest of the world sleeps? Maybe you're staring at the ceiling, heart quietly racing, wondering if something's wrong with your body, your mind, or maybe both. If that sounds familiar, you're far from alone. And no, this isn't just another part of getting older. There's actually something deeper going on. In today's video, we're going to gently uncover 5 meaningful reasons why so many people start waking up around 3 a.m. as they age, and what those early hours might be trying to tell you. Because behind each wake-up call, there's often a message from your body, your history, or even your heart. We're not talking about shallow sleep tips. This goes beneath the surface, into real changes happening in your hormones, your nervous system, your daily habits, and even your emotional world. These are things most folks never hear about, but they matter. They can change how you think about sleep and how you care for yourself through it. And we're going to talk about it the way it should be talked about, honestly, gently, and with deep respect for everything you've lived through to get here. So if you've ever opened your eyes in the still of night and quietly asked, "Why now?" you're in the right place. Stay with us. Because by the end, you might not just understand your sleep better, you might understand yourself better too. 1. The quiet decline of melatonin. Have you noticed yourself waking up around 3 a.m., not because of a noise or bad dream, but just awake? It's not your imagination. One of the biggest reasons older adults struggle with staying asleep in the early morning hours is something subtle yet powerful. Your body simply isn't making as much melatonin as it used to. Melatonin is that gentle hormone your brain produces each evening to help guide you into restful sleep. When you were younger, it flowed in steady waves through the night, holding you in deep, peaceful rest. But as the years pass, that wave becomes a trickle. By the time 3 a.m. rolls around, the signal might not be strong enough to keep you asleep. You stir, not with worry, but with quiet alertness, because your body's chemical clock has changed. This isn't failure, it's biology. And it happens to almost everyone with age. The environment around you can make things worse too. A dim streetlight filtering through the blinds, a glowing alarm clock on your nightstand, or even the soft blue hue from your cable box. These small lights can confuse your aging brain, suppressing what little melatonin it's still making. Take Harold, 72, who lives with his wife in a quiet suburb outside San Diego. He's always been a solid sleeper, but lately he finds himself wide awake at 3:15 a.m. He doesn't feel anxious, just awake. Once he learned that his melatonin levels were naturally lower now, he stopped feeling like something was wrong with him. He dimmed his room, stepped away from his phone earlier in the evening, and added a gentle twilight walk to his routine. Now, even when he wakes early, he meets it with calm instead of frustration. That kind of shift in mindset makes all the difference. When you realize your body isn't broken, just changing, it opens the door to grace and adjustment. Because sometimes the answer isn't to fix the body, it's to work with it. And the more compassion you offer yourself during these quiet hours, the more peace you'll find, even in the middle of the night. 2. When your internal clock starts ticking earlier. Have you noticed how, these days, bedtime creeps up on you earlier than it used to? Maybe you're dozing off halfway through the evening news, or waking up at dawn without needing an alarm, even on weekends. If that sounds familiar, you're not losing your rhythm. Your rhythm is simply shifting. This quiet change in your body's timing is known as advanced sleep phase. It's part of the natural aging process, something your biology gently ushers in over time. When you were younger, your body's internal clock synced neatly with the sun. Late dinners, evening errands, or family activities kept you going well into the night. But now, that same clock might start winding down around 7 or 8 p.m., gently nudging you toward bed earlier than you'd expect. And here's the catch. If you drift off to sleep by 9 p.m., it's no wonder your eyes open around 3 a.m. Your body thinks it's had a full night's rest. It's not broken, just on a slightly different schedule. Think of your internal clock like an old grandfather clock in the hallway. Over the years, it's ticked forward by a few quiet minutes each season. You don't always notice the change, but eventually, it chimes earlier than before. That's what's happening inside you. Not a flaw, just time doing what time does. Let's take Charles, 68, a retired postal worker in Riverside. These days, he eats supper by 5:30, watches an hour of his favorite shows, then finds himself tucked in by 9 without even trying. Most mornings, he's up at 3, clear-eyed and calm. At first, he thought it was insomnia, but once he learned about this natural shift, it all made sense. Instead of fighting it, Charles made a few small changes. He reads with a soft lamp after dinner, takes a slow walk around the block when the stars come out. Sometimes he calls his daughter just to hear her voice. These little moments help stretch his evening and ease his body into a later rhythm. The result? Fewer early wake-ups and mornings that feel more balanced. For many older adults, especially those who are retired or living in quieter homes, this shift happens more quickly. Without office hours, traffic, or packed schedules, your body listens more to its own cues, and those cues often come earlier than they used to. But once you understand this, something powerful happens. You stop blaming your body and start partnering with it. You learn how to guide your evenings with intention. A little more light, a little more laughter, a few familiar sounds before bed. So if 3 a.m. finds you lying awake, not anxious but alert, it may just be your body saying, we're on a new schedule now. And with a little awareness, you can meet that change with wisdom, not resistance. 3. When the body gently interrupts the night. Sometimes, the reason you're waking up at 3 a.m. isn't about your mind at all. It's your body trying to get your attention. As we grow older, discomfort doesn't always show up like it used to. It doesn't shout, it whispers. A stiff knee, a dull backache, a bladder that just can't wait until morning. These quiet signals can nudge you out of sleep without warning, and often without pain. Just enough to bring you back to the surface. Many seniors live with chronic conditions like arthritis, reflux, or sensitive bladders. These don't always disrupt your days, but in the stillness of night, with no distractions, even the softest discomfort becomes louder. Lying in one position too long might spark a sore hip. A late dinner might rise back up as heartburn. A shift in temperature might have you pulling up the blanket one minute and tossing it off the next. And of course, there's that all-too-familiar middle-of-the-night trip to the bathroom. For many men, and plenty of women too, the need to urinate becomes more urgent and frequent as the bladder loses its youthful stretch. During the day, it's manageable. But in the quiet of 3 a.m., that need is all you can think about. Then there's medication, something almost every older adult is managing. Pills for blood pressure, heart rhythm, cholesterol, or joint pain can carry side effects. Most folks don't link to sleep. Dryness, sensitivity to light, restless legs, frequent urination. Sometimes it's not aging, it's just chemistry that needs adjusting. Eleanor, 76, lives in a cozy home near Tampa and has always been a light sleeper. But last year, she began waking like clockwork around 3:30 each morning. It wasn't stress or dreams, just her body tugging her from sleep. After talking with her doctor, she learned one of her blood pressure meds was increasing her nighttime thirst and bathroom trips. With some guidance, she shifted the timing of her dose and started drinking more water earlier in the day. Within weeks, her sleep changed. She still wakes occasionally, but now she knows why. And that knowledge brings peace. The truth is, waking up doesn't mean your body is breaking down. It means it's still responding, still adjusting, still looking out for you. And maybe, instead of resenting that 3 a.m. moment, we can treat it as a soft reminder to check in. Maybe it's not a disruption, maybe it's a quiet nudge toward better care. Because when we listen to those gentle signals and not just push through, we start to sleep with more awareness and live with more ease. 4. When daily habits quietly rewire your sleep. Sometimes it's not a health issue or a hormone imbalance that wakes you at 3 a.m. Sometimes it's just the way your day has quietly changed over time. As we settle into retirement or a slower lifestyle, things start shifting, little by little. Dinner moves to 5 p.m. The TV goes off by 8. The house grows quieter. There's less rushing, less movement, fewer places to be. And while that can feel peaceful, it also sends subtle signals to your body. It's time to wind down. So you drift off to sleep earlier, often without even realizing it. But here's the catch. When you go to bed earlier, your body naturally finishes its rest earlier too. That's how you end up wide awake at 3 or 4 in the morning, staring into the dark, wondering why. Walter, 74, a recently retired accountant from Temecula, used to keep a full schedule. Now, his days are slow and steady. Over time, his routine crept forward. He'd eat dinner just after 5, nap during the evening news, and be in bed by 8:45 most nights. At first, he thought the 3 a.m. wake-ups were just part of aging. But then he started noticing the pattern and decided to make a few gentle shifts. He added a short walk after lunch, kept the lights brighter during the evening, and skipped those after-dinner naps. He even started calling his grandson in Oregon just before bedtime, which gave him something to look forward to. Within weeks, his sleep naturally shifted later, and he began waking up closer to sunrise, not in the middle of the night. There's also a quiet connection between food and sleep. Eating too early, without a light snack before bed, can cause blood sugar to dip during the night. You may not feel hungry, but your body senses the change, and that can be enough to stir you. And let's not forget caffeine. Even a cup of coffee at 2 p.m. can linger longer than it used to. Our metabolism slows with age, and what once wore off by bedtime now sticks around, making sleep more fragile. It's easy to overlook the power of routine, but your body is always listening. It reads your patterns, the light, the food, the movement, and sets its rhythm based on what it sees. The good news? That rhythm can be gently rewritten. All it takes is a little awareness, a few soft changes, and the willingness to work with your body instead of against it. You're not stuck. You're simply being invited to adjust, and those small changes can add up to deeper, more peaceful sleep. 5. When the heart speaks in the quiet hours. Not every 3 a.m. wake-up is about discomfort or hormones. Sometimes it's something far more tender. It's your heart asking to be heard. As we move into the later chapters of life, the busyness that once filled our days begins to quiet. And in that stillness, feelings we've carried for decades start to rise, softly, gently, like a whisper in the dark. That's why the early morning hours often become a kind of emotional porch light, a place where memories, questions, and longings begin to gather. You may lie awake, not restless in the body, but in the soul. Not with panic, but with a quiet ache, a flicker of regret, a thought of someone you miss, words you never got to say. It's not the same as anxiety from younger years. It's more reflective, more spacious, like a slow tide coming in, bringing pieces of your past with it, decisions made, people lost, love remembered. It's not always heavy. Sometimes it's just present. And for many older adults, especially those living alone or feeling a bit disconnected, this is when loneliness makes itself known. Not loud or sharp, just a soft longing for conversation, for companionship, for the familiar presence of someone who used to share the night. Gloria, 80, lives alone in a cozy home near Sacramento. She fills her days with gardening, talking to her grandkids, and sipping tea while watching her favorite shows. But around 3 a.m., she often wakes, not from noise, but from memory. Her thoughts return to her late husband, or drift toward the quiet worries she tucks away during the day. At first, she thought it was her sleep failing. But then she realized it was her heart stirring. Now, Gloria keeps a little notebook by her bed. Nothing fancy. Just a space to write down what she feels, memories, questions, even just a line or two of gratitude. She also listens to soft instrumental music some nights, or writes postcards to old friends. These small acts give her emotions a place to land. The truth is, the heart doesn't punch a time clock. It remembers what it needs to remember on its own schedule. And sometimes that schedule is 3 in the morning. But that's not something broken. That's a sign of depth. If you wake up during the night feeling reflective or tender, maybe it's not a problem to solve. Maybe it's a gift to receive, a chance to pause, to honor the full, rich life you've lived and the thoughts that still deserve your attention. So ask yourself quietly, what part of me wants to be seen tonight? What needs a little grace? Because sometimes the most healing kind of rest doesn't come from escaping those moments, but from making peace with them. Final thoughts. As we come to the end of this video, take a quiet moment and breathe. Ask yourself, what part of this spoke to you most? Was it the shift in your inner clock? The soft signals your body sends in the stillness? Or maybe it was something more personal. Those quiet echoes of emotion that only seem to surface when the world is asleep. Each of the 5 reasons we explored isn't pointing to something broken. Far from it. They're signs that your body, your mind, and your spirit are still active, still listening, still adapting as you move through this beautiful, complex stage of life. There's something powerful about understanding what your body is trying to say, especially in those pre-dawn hours when everything feels quiet and clear. Instead of seeing these 3 a.m. wake-ups as a nuisance, maybe, just maybe, they're gentle invitations. Invitations to slow down, to check in, to tend to yourself a little more kindly. And you're not alone in this. So many others, people just like you, are waking in the dark and wondering what it all means. But the moment you start seeing these awakenings not as problems, but as messages, that's when things begin to shift. Insight brings strength, and strength brings choice. The choice to adjust your routine with care, the choice to rest with more intention, the choice to greet each morning not with frustration, but with understanding. So if any part of this touched something inside you, know this. You're not just aging, you're evolving. And in that evolution lies a quiet kind of wisdom. Thank you for spending this time with us. We'd love to hear from you. If something you heard today felt meaningful, drop a comment below. Just one thing you're taking with you or one change you're thinking about making. Your stories inspire us and each other. And if this video brought you comfort or clarity, feel free to subscribe, give it a like, or share it with someone you care about. Your support helps us continue creating content that respects where you are in life and helps you move through it with a little more peace. Until next time, be gentle with yourself and sleep well.